fucking live. Are we live yet, my child?
Yes, we are live. I should have clicked live like 30 seconds earlier when you're getting into your, what is that, high priest outfit? What is that?
It's just a regular outfit. Just a regular Jewish outfit. There's a prayer shawl.
It'd be funny if you kept adopting more and more religious gear as time went on. It's growing into your status as the Apostate Prophet. TikTok, time to rock. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone who's watching from all over the world. What is this? What is this? What is this mess here? I'm a woodpecker, 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 I'm a woo. The heck is a woo?
Real problems.
What the heck is a woo?
I don't know. This man has real problems.
Wu-Tang, 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 Wu-Tang. Hey.
Yes.
Have you heard of this Mosab, Hassan, Yousef guy?
Oh, yeah. Have I not? Have I? Everybody should have heard of this guy. This guy is a legend. He would choose cows. Whenever he has a choice, he would choose a cow. And just for that alone, the guy is pretty awesome.
Legend status. And what I'm looking forward to here. So we have the recording of Mosab Hassan Yousef speaking to the European Parliament. Now, when he's talking to people who only respect aggression and so on, he psychologically hurts them. He psychologically crushes and humiliates them. But I would guess that since he's smart, he's gonna be speaking completely differently to the European Parliament, that he'll get the necessary points across. But I'm actually wondering, like, what's the narrative, what's the way of speaking that would be most persuasive to a bunch of European parliamentarians? Would it be couching everything in terms of oppressor and victims and so on, but just reversing it from what these people think or something like that?
It should go like this. Ladies and gentlemen, if I have to choose between 1.6 billion Muslims and a cow, I will choose the cow.
Why would he be speaking in a German accent?
Because everyone in Europe is
German. For Europeans?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. Oh yeah, wait, I forgot to play the shofar.
Oh yeah, hang on. Everyone pause. Everyone pause what you're doing. Stop. Everyone, stop what you're doing and honor the shofar. Hey, that's interesting. You had a couple different sounds. There, but they all sounded like a chorus of little birdies singing their way out of that ram's horn.
Still making progress. Shofar is so good.
Shofar, so good. All right, so we're gonna check out Mosab's message. Everyone, take these first couple of super chats, and then we'll jump right into the video. Oh, shout out to who gave it? Jack Ray gifted 20 Apologetics Roadshow memberships. Thank you, Jack. And let's see. Ayatollah says, nice new newsboy hat nerd. Pretty rude calling someone a nerd.
Not sure who he's talking about.
I wouldn't call my worst enemy a nerd.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is a good newsboy You're gonna extra read all about it. Oh, that was a sticker. Pair character. Just show us this. Just show us what it is. Stupid eCamp. Pair character flying in air with a red cape and smile on his face. I guess we'll just have to imagine what that looks like, eCamp, because you won't show us when I put it on the screen. Megatron says, David, you should dress up like my profile picture. Yeah, that'd be super cool. I think I'll do that. Megatron, son of Allah.
Do
it. I'm not peeing European. I'm not peeing European. I'm not a peeing European. Quit stealing my jokes. Told that a long time ago on here. I said you're American when you go into the bathroom. You're Asian when you come out of the bathroom. What are you while you're in the bathroom? European. Classic dad joke. All right. We ready to check out Mosab here?
Yes.
I bet it's going to be based. I don't know what he's going to say, but I predict it's going to be based. And it's cool they gave him a good little chunk of time. He spoke for like half an hour there. So let's see what the son of Hamas, ladies and gentlemen, let's see what his message is for the European Parliament, because I really think the European Parliament needs some solid advice because they seem to suck at everything they do.
It's too late for that.
Thank you for finding the time to listen. I see many members absent, unfortunately. I thought this would be a great opportunity to share first-hand experience, and most importantly, I'm nothing but eyewitness. And it looks like many people want to decide on behalf of the children in the Middle East without listening to the children, without listening to a child of that conflict. It's not important to have someone who have lived it, to provide first-hand experience and information, so when they make their decisions on our behalf, on behalf of the children in the Middle East, they don't make mistake. For example,
dude, I just said I wonder how he's going to approach this differently, given who he's talking to. And he starts it off by, "Hey, we all care about the children. The children. What about the children? We all care about the children. We want to help the children." Well, why don't you listen to someone who was a child there? Why don't you listen? Smart. I like this guy, man.
The funny thing is that I have the feeling at this point that somebody told him, or somebody tells him, that he should keep that he should keep saying children, because
he went to children. He started off with children, then he started practicing his pronunciation, and he was saying children, but now he's saying children. So you're saying that someone may have told him, "Hey, man, stick with children."
Yeah, and talk about children all the time, because it is very good, and it makes a good impression, and it sounds good. It sounds fun. Do that.
Yeah. So, guys, what are your theories on why he went from children to children, back to children? Might have been that while he's focusing on it, he can get the ch sound, but that if he's not focused on it, maybe he reverts back to children. This is the kind of awesome insights you get on the Screaming Goats podcast, ladies and gentlemen. What's up?
I saw that one clip where he says we are all children of God, and I thought that was a fantastic clip. I think we should put that on our soundboards, actually.
Yeah, that would be good.
We are children of God.
By funding criminals for decades from the public money that has been advancing terrorism and chaos that brought us to this low point of destruction and barbarism. And of course, none of them would take responsibility. They want to sit in comfort and decide on behalf of this generation and the next generations. It's not important for them to come and take a seat for half an hour and listen.
Dang, he just burned them up. He's the people who wouldn't show up for him, the parliamentarians who wouldn't show up. And he says they make decisions. The brilliant point. They make decisions that's affecting the next generation and the next generation after that. They're impacting their decisions as the European Parliament impact what happens with groups like Hamas and so on in the future. And they're affecting the entire Middle East, and they won't even show up to listen to a point that they disagree with from a person who was in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
But what can we do? This is part of this war, a war of narratives.
I just really, right, when he says, they are affecting the future generations of children, but they do not care about them. They are not fit to be mothers and fathers. They would eat their own children if they got hungry. He should have said that. Let me back up a little bit. That would have been awesome.
Children.
But what can we do? This is part of this war, a war of narratives. And there is only one truth. But many have been compromised by the Qatari money, and yes, by the Qatari money, the Arab oil money, the Muslim money.
Dang.
And they have been serving many masters. When they serve many masters, this means that they have no truth.
It's getting biblical now.
Hey, he's referring to what didn't they actually catch like European Parliament members with suitcases of cash from Middle Eastern nations who are basically buying their decisions?
I believe so. I mean, it's pretty clear that Qatar is spending lots of money on influence in the West and all that.
That's what I think it was. I think it was European guys. Everyone remember? Wasn't that like a year ago or something like that? Or a year or two ago? Does everyone remember that?
No, nobody remembers.
I'm just trying to think if that was some specific country's parliament or if it was. I think it was the European Parliament. Anyone remember that? Yeah, Dejan says yes, they did. Yeah, so they caught these guys. They caught these parliamentarians. Yeah, Linda Cohen says yes, they did. They caught some parliamentarians with piles and piles of cash from Muslim nations, getting their decisions bought. So he actually throws it in their faces. Nice.
My jihad is keeping this thing on me properly.
Yeah, that's all you do is. That's all you do is worry about your high priestly gear.
The funny thing is, I noticed as I started wearing this, I noticed how difficult it is to keep this. And I was also watching some rabbi preaching in a synagogue, and he kept adjusting it. And I thought, okay, well, it's not just me. So,
yeah, Vocab has all kinds of problems when he dresses up as Muhammad. Headgear keeps falling off and so on. But yep, that's the price you pay. That's the price you pay to look super cool.
Yeah.
I was born back in 1978. I was only 10 years old when the first Palestinian Intifada started. My father was one of the founders of Hamas.
Beast.
And my family taught me that I was Palestinian. But they never said why I was Palestinian. Like today, millions of people believe to be Palestinians as an ethnic group, but in reality, they are not. And we have tens of millions around the world who say free Palestine, while in reality, Palestine never existed, except as a colonial entity.
Colonial.
Against the indigenous of the land. I'm not saying that there were no Arabs in that region. But for some reason, Arabs were allowed to take their caravans from every destination in Arabia with no political borders to come and profit from the British mandate of Palestine. But the Jews who had to go through the Holocaust and the ethnic cleansing on the hands of Ottoman Empire for approximately 400 years, then the ethnic cleansing in Europe, then the Holocaust, they did not have the right to take the boat and escape the hell of Nazism to come and find a safe place where they could survive.
You know what's funny?
See how he switched the narrative there?
Yeah,
but it was Arab colonizers were somehow allowed to come from all over the Middle East and so on, and move in there, and that's fine, and no one could ever have a problem with that. But if some Jews from somewhere else wanted to go there, shame on them. They're bad. They're evil.
You know what's really messed up? So the mandate for Palestine, mandatory Palestine, was established with the sole purpose of, according to the documents, the League of Nations documents in 1920, and the British, correspondence. It was established and borders drawn for the sole purpose of establishing or re-establishing the Jewish national home in that land. That's literally what it says. After acknowledging that the ancient ties of the Jewish community to the land forever, while also protecting the civil and religious rights of the others who are living there. However, while they started out like that, and they started working with Jewish people and organizations, they very quickly started switching the focus, because they were getting repeatedly attacked and bullied by the Arab side that really didn't want to have it that way. So the British started imposing restrictions on Jews in this entity that was created for Jews, and started restricting the numbers of Jews who are allowed to come in, restricting the numbers of Jews who are allowed to purchase land, and so on. So Jews fleeing from Nazi Germany to mandatory Palestine had restrictions, while Arabs were allowed to freely get in there. Some really, really messed up stuff went on during the Second World War.
Yep, lots of messed up stuff, and your people are always at the bottom of it, AP.
Alhamdulillah.
This is a crime. It's colonialism. But for all the Arab and Muslim invaders who came to profit, who did not have any connection to the land, that was legitimate. So I was supposed to believe that I am a Palestinian. But what makes a Palestinian, nobody has the answer. What makes the Palestinian different than the Egyptian or the Jordanian? It's not a human race. It's not a distinct language. It's not a religion. It is nothing but a violent ideology that was established as a hostile movement to annihilate the Jewish people from that land.
Wow, do you see that? What is it that unites them as a people? It's not a language. It's not, or what distinguishes them from other groups of people. It's not a race. It's not a religion. It's none of that. It's just a violent ideology.
It sounds very offensive, and it sounds very very problematic to some people who hear this kind of stuff. But the issue is that the very people that we nowadays refer to as Palestinians, until very recently, there was no agreed upon idea among those people to identify as Palestinians. It became a trend, especially in the 1960s, and then in the 1980s, when the first ever the first ever state by the name of Palestine was declared in 1988. That's when it became a major national movement. Before that, it wasn't really a thing. The people of the region simply identified as Arabs. There were some people who did propose that they should have their own national identity as Palestinian Arabs, but most of them never agreed to that. In fact, lots of people rejected it. They officially rejected it back in the 1920s. And Palestinian at that time simply meant the Jewish people who are living in that place. But when the Jewish people dropped the designation of Palestinian in 1948, when they declared Israel, then the whole Palestinian thing was left in a vacuum, and the Arabs started picking it up slowly, and later more rapidly. And now we're looking back and acting like, oh yeah, the Palestinians, man, Palestinians, like this Palestinian people. What Palestinian people?
It's the people. But AP, I have to say, that was what you were just spouting there is the most racist thing I've ever seen since the last time you spoke.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hang on. Wanted to listen to more Mosab there, but there are some super chats that are directed towards you. We got to go down to them. What are your thoughts regarding the death of 5-year-old Hint Rajab? Also, will you cover Piers Morgan's newest interview with Bassem Yousef?
How long is that interview?
Yeah, AP doesn't like the sight of Bassem Yousef.
I really can't take it. I really don't want to talk. I really don't. I really can't take it.
For some reason, AP can't stand that dude.
I hate that guy, man. What are your thoughts regarding the death of a 5-year-old Hind Rajab? It is a name of one of the children that were unfortunately in the middle of a war, killed, which is very, very sad, which is very tragic, but I don't know what am I supposed to think about it. I wish there was no war going on. I wish once I didn't start a war. That's all I can say.
Those are the thoughts. Candid with Lubna Ali Dawa exposes what happens in Mecca himself. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. People were asking us about that yesterday. Ali Dawa posting on what really goes on when Muslims take the pilgrimage to Mecca. It's basically one giant orgy. What happens during the Hajj? One giant, massive LGBTQ orgy goes on, ladies and gentlemen. That's what goes on during the pilgrimage to Mecca.
I talked about this with Nuria Khan a long time ago. She actually lived for a while in the region in Saudi Arabia, and was also in Mecca, was on the Hajj, and she talked about how it's very, very common for men during the Hajj to just grope and hump and things like that.
Yep. And all sorts of weird, creepy stuff. I knew he was a Quran only. He's a Quran only Muslim now, but in the 1980s he was just an Orthodox Sunni Muslim. But he's from Brooklyn. He's from Brooklyn. He was a black convert to Islam. And him and his buddies who had converted decided to take the pilgrimage to Mecca. And he says when they were starting off there, they were told, hey, there are going to be guys who come up to you and feel on you when you're during the pilgrimage. You can't react. You can't react because it would cause a disturbance and ruin it for everybody. And he's like, what? Man, we're from Brooklyn, man. They ain't nobody gonna put their hands on us. And they did. They did. He said they almost had a brawl break out over it from some guys feeling on him. And then a few years ago, they started up the Mosque Me Too. Right after you had the Me Too movement, there was a Mosque Me Too movement. I was taking screenshots of all the Muslim women who were posting little stories about what happened to them and how they were sexually assaulted, literally while they're walking circles around the Kaaba and so on, and while they're bowing down and so on. And it was interesting because I'd take the screenshot of the story, and then 2 days later, the girl's post would be taken down. She would be pressured by Muslims to keep it quiet. So this is during like the height of the Me Too, when everyone's like, no, women need to talk about all this stuff that's going on and all these guys who've been doing this and that to them and getting away with it. But no, not Muslim women. They needed to keep it quiet. So they would take it down.
There's one thing that I always remember about the Hajj. So my parents went to the Hajj. They went to the pilgrimage when I was a teenager, and were gone for quite a while. One thing that I remember at that time was that a certain piece of advice was given to them, which I also heard later on from others, again about the Hajj, which was the advice was to my father to always be very close to my mother, always have contact with her, and never when you get into a cab, there always get in first, and then let her out first, and then get out, and things like that, and always have her always surround her and things like that, and that sounded very weird to me, but I
Yep.
kept hearing it again and again, and then I realized, wait a minute, what they're saying here is that is that Mecca, is that the Hajj is dangerous, especially for women
Yeah.
who will get
It's the
abducted,
sexual
molested.
assault capital of
and
the
so on.
universe.
It's very, very messed up.
It's the sexual assault capital of the universe. Need to start saying, ladies, men, don't drop the soap during the Hajj. Don't do it. Don't drop your Quran. Don't drop your prayer beads. Don't drop anything. So you got to lean over. I want to say don't bend. What are you doing? Their prayers are all just bending and bending and bending. I don't even know how they're going to avoid it.
There is even a thing, you can look at this up. Lots of groups that go there, that go as large groups together, do this whole thing where the men
surround the women. I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, they form a circle around the women to protect them.
Can you imagine that? I mean, this is like the holiest site of Islam, and it's all about like protecting women from being molested.
Yeah.
Women in full Islamic gear, ladies and gentlemen, because we're always told that the reason for wearing the hijab, the burqa, the niqab, whatever, is so that women are protected from this sort of thing. And yet the capital of the Islamic world is also the sexual assault capital of the world. And it doesn't matter what you're wearing or how modestly you're dressed. You have to have guys. You have to have an army of bodyguards to keep guys from dry humping you while you're walking circles around the Kaaba. Great religion, guys.
Can you imagine? Okay, honey, we're going to the Hajj. It's time to protect yourself from rape.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yay, we're going on the Hajj. All right, here are the 50 bodyguards we have to hire for you. Here we have Jewish vocab saying Shalom Goyim Oy Vey, but it's AP.
That's funny. It's because of the hat. The hat makes me look like vocab.
Oh, yeah. I get it. Yeah, hat and beard. Yeah, it does work. And let's see, AP. Why does your shofar not sound like the one on YouTube? That's what everyone's wondering.
That's a good question. I probably do it wrong. I learned that that you need to practice more and be able to have a more deep, a lower tune that you get out of the shofar. I'm still learning.
Now, I did for the first time when you were starting off. You made a couple different sounds with it, so.
Like you could compare this to how I the sounds that came out when I first tried this several weeks ago.
Yeah, this sounds like an angelic hallelujah chorus compared to when you were starting off.
Yes.
It's not children, it's shieldren. Oh yeah, shieldren.
Yes.
Some people. Is anyone else making that joke? Because people need to put that out there. They are not our children; they are our shieldren, because that's what they use them for. Did you hear about that UNRWA terrorist Abu Itiwi? You hear about that? I heard about an UNRWA. I've heard about multiple UNRWA terrorists, but
is that the one? I don't know.
There
were multiple reports. There were multiple reports just recently. That's one. I saw that briefly.
Which one's that?
A Hamas commander who turned out to be an UNRWA employee. Once again. For those who are not following, so UNRWA is the United Nations designated organization in Gaza and the Palestinian territories, which is supposedly responsible for humanitarian relief for the Palestinian refugees since they were displaced and so on. And yeah, lots of those UNRWA employees who are supposed to be providing humanitarian services and things like that are basically Hamas members, are terrorists themselves.
Must be nice. Love the talent, AP. David, get a messianic talent. Is that what that thing's called?
Yes.
Is that what that thing's called? Looks
It's
way
called
cooler.
a talent. It's called a talent.
Looks cooler than a Thaub.
Yeah, a Thaub is disgusting.
Goat up says, they serve many mustards. Here you go. Here you go, AP. AP, you said October 7th changed you, but how? Please explain.
I mean, I explained it a little
Definitely got meaner.
I explained it a little bit here and there, but I don't know. It changed a lot of. It changed how I felt about the world and about different things. It changed my perspective a little bit on religion and spirituality and things like that. I started questioning lots of a lot of things that made up my worldview. Until that point, I became much more intolerant, to be very honest, much more aggressive, and I think that's totally justified. Yeah, in different ways. We can always expand on that further.
Jimmy the Jew from Philly said, no, it's called talus, singular. Talit, plural.
Pretty sure it's actually just talit, and Ashkenazi Jews tend to pronounce it a little bit differently.
Let's see. R says, hi, David. I've asked a couple of times without response, but didn't you say last month you would start a study group about Islam very soon? Yeah, but that's with it's a particular topic. We're going to read through the Quran and locate all of the verses, every last one, because there are a lot of them. Every single verse in the Quran that has anything to do with the previous scriptures. So yeah, that is going to start, but I'll let you know when it happens.
You see, in modern Hebrew, the word is pronounced talit with the stress on the final syllable. In Yiddish, it is a talis with the stress on the first syllable. The plural of talit in Hebrew is talitot, pronounced talitot. The Yiddish plural is talesim, pronounced talesim, and so on. Interesting stuff.
Yep, see, AP always has to be right about everything. Christianity is about principles, but Islam is about principalities and powers. Also, how does Muhammad eat his children? How does Muhammad eat his children? He chews on his crusty clothes. Ugh, nasty. Nasty. Oh, here you go. AP, stop fidgeting. You look like a year-old girl at a dress recital messing with your talent, lol.
It's I love it, and I want it to stick on me, to stay on me properly. Okay, I'm gonna stop touching it, man.
You gotta get some, like some sort of clips or something like that, because otherwise the whole time you're just gonna be like 3 hours later.
You see.
All right, we got some more super chats, but wanted to get to the ones about the talent to warn AP to stop fidgeting with his talent.
What this actually is it is a shawl that was kind of established after the destruction of the temple to have a substitute for what Jews used to wear on them, to have the fringes here on the corners of their clothes. As they stopped wearing those garments, they started creating new prayer shawls, which they attached those fringes to. You can even find that in the New Testament. Jesus himself is indicated to have practiced having the fringes and so on. Yeah.
British and Turks were the cause of the Struma disaster in 1942. Talk about making one's blood boil. Turks, man. Turks. Luke Lang says, I saw the 99 Names of Allah thing on X. I blame AP. AP. You did it.
I actually ordered it. It's going to be delivered this week.
You're supposed to make your the YouTube tutorial says you're supposed to make your lips vibrate. So it is like a trumpet, eh?
Okay.
8 p.m. I'm a Christian from Germany, and I don't understand the extreme cult of personality around Trump. His moral standards are low. After yesterday's stream, my respect for you grew even bigger. You are based.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But I don't want to talk about Donald Trump today and make people angry. Because yesterday, I know it made lots of people angry that I talked like that about their hero.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that. I just want to be nice today.
Yeah, he doesn't want to get into that. You see how Germans are always trying to cause division at the worst possible time?
I have been intimidated by the responses.
You see, in Mecca, we're not the kuffar who are randy only by women who show some skin. We dry hump women in burqas too. We dry hump everything. We dry hump everything. Nice. All right, everyone. Back to our good buddy Mosab here, spitting some facts, spitting some knowledge.
The continuous Islamic, and I insist to say Islamic, attempt to kill the Jewish people. Ooh. And that brings us to the ideological dimension that many of us are in denial.
Dang, I'm backing that thing up. The Islamic. I thought he was just going to be talking about the people or something like that, but he's talking about the Islamic obsession with killing the Jewish people. Wow. Look at that.
Insist to say Islamic attempt to kill the Jewish people.
Kill the Jewish people. Wow.
And that brings us to the ideological dimension that many of us are in denial. Why? Because we have 2 billion Muslims around the world and we don't want to piss them off. So most of us stick our head in the sand in denial. While it's in the Quran, it's in the Hadith, that it's an Islamic belief based on the Islamic most trusted sources, that the end times will not come and the Mahdi, that's the savior of the Muslims, will not return until the Muslims annihilate all the Jewish people, not only in Israel, but worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. This
is not only human delusion. They have been acting on it. Mm-hmm. It's a legislation. Many out there believe that Allah gave them the authority to punish the Jewish people. First, Allah chose the Jewish people. It was His chosen ones. But for disobedience, Allah wanted to punish the Jewish people. And now the Muslims functioning as the sword of Allah on earth to punish the Jewish people and all the non-Muslims who don't submit to Islam. This is the Islamic law. And all those who try to sell the West a peaceful version of Islam, they are liars and they are lying. And their claim is baseless. Okay, this is too controversial, and I did not come here to say things about Islam, but this is very important to understand as a foundation of this conflict. Because
everyone trying to sell a peaceful Islam is a liar. They are liars. Okay, this is too controversial. I didn't come here to say this. That's pretty funny.
If we really want to find a solution, then we need to understand the dimensions of the conflict. And the ideological dimension of this conflict is the most significant one, in my humble opinion. This is how I was conditioned. As a Muslim, then as a Palestinian, and I think both identities are false. They stole our individuality as children. We were born free, children of earth, children of the divine. And they gave us false identity. They said, you're a Palestinian now. Fight for this identity. It's so important to you. And who created this? A con artist from Egypt, born in Egypt, with an Egypt accent. His name Yasser Arafat. A global terrorist who wanted to globalize the Intifada and hijack commercial airplanes and blow up athletes at Munich Olympics. And we can go on and on of the Palestinian global terrorism as a mean for political and financial gain.
I find it interesting that he has this.
You never been there?
What's that?
I find it's kind of endearing, I guess, in a way that he has this very Middle Eastern attitude and Middle Eastern way of talking, but then doesn't go with the regular narrative that usually comes out of that way of talking, and instead goes against the Middle Eastern narrative with the Middle Eastern attitude. It's interesting.
And he even flips certain ideas, like in Islam, everyone's born as a Muslim, but then your parents change you into something else. And then he's pointing out, no, children are born free, but then you're given this false identity, Palestinian Muslim, that you're supposed to then go out and fight for. And he's saying that's the false identity. That's what your parents do to you.
Yep.
Interesting. He takes all the ideas that he was raised with and he flips them.
Yep.
He is doing some serious judo.
Yep.
No evidence. With the Egyptian birth certificate. And this is the father of the Palestinian revolution. The most corrupt revolution on earth that does not have concern towards the Arab or the Jewish children in that region. Please notice, my ethnicity is not Palestinian. We are Arabs of Judea and Samaria. That's an ethnic group. This is ethnicity. But Yasser Arafat did not want us to go to school. This is why, when the first Palestinian Intifada started back in 1987, the masked men used to come to our school and ask us to leave, to go to the checkpoints and throw stones at the Israeli army. Because for Yasser Arafat, it was very clever to pay a handful of masked men, we didn't know who they were, to come to school and send children to the checkpoints to get shot, or at least to confront an Israeli tank with a rock. This image attracted the globe and attracted so many people to see the bravery of a child throwing a rock at a very advanced weapon. So many...
What?
Hope people pay attention to this. This is an aspect that he also addressed in the one book, which was Son of Hamas, in which he explained lengthily and deeply, which is that, contrary to popular opinion, it's not people going out there and just doing these things by themselves. It is Hamas and other organizations organizing these protests and basically forcing, like, it's in Western culture you don't really have this. It's very hard to imagine. In Middle Eastern cultures it is quite normal in comparison. In Arab cultures and Muslim cultures, that certain authorities just come to you and say, okay, this is what you do, this is what we're all doing now, no school, out, this is what we're doing, come here, participate in protest. And so they go and tell you to do exactly what they want you to do, and to throw stones, and I don't know, to do different things. For even in Turkey, for example, where I was for a while, you don't see it in the most in that extreme way. But even there already, the whole non-European, non-Western, the Middle Eastern culture begins, where you are regularly told, as somebody who goes to school, to just say, okay, no school today. We will now participate in certain nationalistic parades or things like that. And it's not up to you. You don't have a choice. You're just told to do it. And this is the least extreme form I have experienced in Turkey. In the so-called Palestinian territories, you will experience the most extreme form of that. And the most extreme form of that would be that the terrorists come to your school and take the kids with them and say, protest now. We'll go to the front and we'll throw rocks. It's the best thing. It's the greatest thing you can do. You will be a hero. You will be a hero if you throw a rock at a Jew and hit him. And if you get hit by a Jew, then you will be an even greater hero. This is what they teach them.
And then, if you throw a stick at a drone, that's legend status right there. Accomplished absolutely nothing, but, you know.
Yeah. Messed up culture.
You're defiant, and that's all that matters.
Oh, yeah.
People sympathize with Yasser Arafat and his movement. They funded Yasser Arafat. And Yasser Arafat got addicted to power, to fame, to money, to prestige, and now this became his game. He assassinated his political rivals. He self-appointed, or he appointed himself as the leader of the revolution. And he built billions of dollars. Where did that come from? The Arab oil money and the European countries who funded him to try to silence him. This is the game. The more money you give this corrupt revolution, the more they will sacrifice children. Not only Jewish children, but also Arab children.
Dude, this is deep right here. The more money you give to this corrupt revolution, the more children they will sacrifice. Why? You send millions and millions of dollars to these guys, but it goes to the leaders who have made a business out of this. So they get piles of money to keep this going. You send them money. This tells them to keep up the killing and killing and killing and getting killed and getting the kids killed and so on, to keep this going, because that's what convinces you morons to keep sending them money, which goes to the leaders. They've made a business out of child sacrifice. They've made it a billion-dollar, multi-billion-dollar industry. The multi-billion-dollar child sacrifice industry. And Mosab just threw it in their faces. You guys are funding a business that's centered around getting kids killed for profit.
Yep. It is... I'm not sorry to say, Palestine is a child sacrifice cult. It's a child sacrifice business.
And they've made a giant business out of it, and they've got their investors. And their investors are a bunch of European nations.
Yep. Yep.
And Mosab here is he's like the Old Testament prophet who would show up to tell people how screwed up they are.
But they will not listen.
And of course, people in the West cannot understand a culture that is willing to sacrifice its own children. But I'm a living example. When my father had to choose between his ideology, between his hypothetical Allah that he is worshipping and his son, he chose the cause to maintain and protect his public image that he has invested more than 60 years in falsehood, false identity of a Palestinian, of an Islamist. This is not who I am, and it's a choice to know my roots as a child of the divine, as a child of the universe, as a child of earth. That today I choose the highest interest of humanity, not the interest of the tribe.
Say the cow.
that this is Palestinian, etc. Who cares? And how many children are they willing to sacrifice for this sick ideology? And today we have so many sellouts in the West who scream out loud, free, free Palestine, forsaking the hostages. Naturally, when we have a hostage situation, humanity should get united to say free the hostages, the most logical thing. They represent all of us. They're just civilians that they have been kidnapped from their backyards, from their living rooms. Infants, children, elders, Holocaust survivors, mostly farmers from a liberal community that actually believed in coexistence and peace.
That's what you keep pointing out.
And the entire world suddenly got united behind a concept. They choose a concept over humanity. It's so obvious that our crisis is bring the hostages and save the children from those who have hijacked the entire society and booby-trapped one of the most populated areas in the Middle East to kill civilians for political and financial gain.
Yo, remember what they call them, the Chibok girls? So in Nigeria, Boko Haram showed up and kidnapped a couple hundred girls from a girls' school, took them, and then the entire world started saying, bring back our girls, bring back our girls. And everyone was posting pictures and memes and so on, bring back our girls. And then they just stopped saying it because, shocker, the terrorists didn't listen to everyone's memes. The terrorists didn't listen to everyone's memes about just giving the girls back. So they kept them. And the world wasn't willing to actually do anything to get the girls back. So it was, as long as it's really easy to pretend that we care a lot about this, as long as it's just post something on Twitter saying, bring back our girls, that's pretty much all we're willing to do. Under no circumstances are we actually going to take the steps, the necessary steps of rescuing these girls from the terrorists who are raping them. There's no scenario we're actually going to go do that. And then Israel is different. No, we will actually hunt you guys down, and we will destroy everything that gets in our way from going after them. And they're the bad guys. So who are the good guys? The good guys are the ones who pretend that they're super interested, but are never actually willing to do anything. And the bad guys are the ones who actually say, you know what? You took our people. We're coming to get our people back. Weird stuff. It's just similar to the idea of like, you used to fight war to end the war and make the other person surrender, and you had to do whatever it took to get the other side to surrender. And now it's, yeah, fight the war, but fight it with both hands tied behind your back. Don't try to win. Just try to be as nice as possible, leading to a never-ending war. And it's like people have all these ideas, but they're like all these parallels. Like the people who actually say, no, we're going in there and we're going to do it and we're going to win, and that's the way it is. They're the bad guys. The people who always want to hold back to give the terrorist plenty of time to regroup again, and keep it going forever. That's the good way to go about things. It's freaking nuts, man.
I'm just confused about one thing. Why didn't they listen to the memes and bring the girls back?
Yeah, because I thought that's what would happen. I thought all these Boko Haram terrorists who took all these girls and took them as sex slaves and so on, that they're going to say, oh, a bunch of Americans and Canadians and British people are posting a hashtag on Twitter. I guess we should just give all these girls back. And then, of course, Westerners, then upon finding out, this doesn't convince them. Well, we have no plan B because we thought that you win all this. The way to win is through a hashtag. And when it came down to actually doing something, no, we're not willing to go that far. That would make us mean, because then we'd have to go in and actually be hunting down terrorists. And, well, terrorists might not like that. Think about their feelings. Think about their feelings. What are you laughing at?
Nothing.
But for some reason, many of us are confused, and we have been choosing an ideology, a concept over humanity. And of course, they have been posing as
posers.
They have the higher moral ground. They all speak on behalf of the children, of the victims of this conflict. Well, how can you be speaking on behalf of the children, but in the meantime, you haven't condemned Hamas? On one hand, they support the resistance. They claim that this is a legitimate resistance against occupation. But we tell them there was never Palestine. It was never as a country. It's not a people. And if there is no such thing, how can it be occupation? Usually you occupy something that is a country, that is an ethnic group, that is a nation. But what, you occupy something in the air, a concept that never existed? In fact, Israel fought against colonialism. They paid in blood the bills, and they earned their independence back in 1948. Only the Jewish people fought against colonialism.
That's true.
And prior to the British, they were the Ottoman Empire, which basically invaded the entire region.
That's true.
And that's it. There is no Palestine in between. A colonial entity that existed from 1918 to 1947 or 1948.
That's true.
That's approximately 25 years of a lifespan.
That's true.
Why the what so-called Palestinians believe that they have they have inherited such entity? Well, the Jewish people also were called Palestinians during that time. All the residents of that region had a Palestinian passport. Druze, Christian, Arabs, Jews, all ethnicities. So what makes now only the Arabs unique to this identity?
You know what?
Well,
I actually think sometimes, so among Israelis, the whole Palestine name has become increasingly an unpopular thing that nobody wants to hear or nobody wants to not wants to pronounce because of how the conflict has played out so far. But I sometimes think it would actually be smart, maybe for Jews and for Israelis to simply reclaim the title Palestinian and to say we are the Palestinians, because that's basically what it was. That's what it actually was. You could even say that the Arab side pretty much hijacked the identity of Palestinian from the Jews and started pretending that it actually belongs to them. So Jews could totally go around and say, "Hey, we are the Palestinians. We were the Palestinians, not you."
yeah, and they should start, and then Israelis should start yelling, "Free, free Palestine." And from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free from the occupying Arabs. Just roll like that.
Base it. And one thing he said, one thing he addressed, which is very, very, which is something to think about. People around the world go on acting as if Israel was trying to fight a war. Israel was trying to have this war. Israel was so insistent on having a war. There would be no war. if the Arab side didn't insist on having a war. There would be no war if the Arab side wasn't so obsessed with the idea that they have to have their own ethno state there. There would be no war if had they not insisted for a century now. No, we cannot allow to live side by side with the Jews. We have to have this land for us. It has to be our place. It has to be ours. It has to be Arab land and all that. This is an obsession. This is an ideological obsession. And the current war and the conflict only continues because the Arab side has repeatedly and repeatedly and repeatedly insisted on fighting and killing and dying. Would they just agree to accept the status quo as it is, none of this would go on. They're fighting for ideologies. That's it. That's all they're doing. Not for rights, for ideologies.
Ideologies. Telegraph says there is a talit and there is a tzizit. So in your face.
Tzit, yeah.
Tzit.
This is called a tzit.
Germany.
This.
Oh, Saint Trump says, Germany, watch out, I'm coming. Apostate of Allah says, the agnostic has me as a mod and the Christian doesn't. Draw your own conclusions.
You see?
Hold up.
You see?
Where's Apostate of Allah here? Yeah, here we go.
Then the Lord appeared to Abraham and said, to your offspring I will give this land. So he built an altar to the Lord.
There we go. There we go.
Appeared to him. From
All
there
right.
he moved.
I fixed that, Apostate of Allah. So now there are no conclusions to draw. Knows too much says, AP, I agree with your concerns on Trump, but I still think people should vote for the least bad option available. Trump. Also, the entire party and administration should also be taken into account. Didn't you literally just say you don't want to talk about this? And then knows too much is forcing you to talk about this?
This is literally genocide.
Literally genocide against AP's feelings of today.
Yeah, I mean, you can always feel free to go and vote.
Ein Berliner mit Berliner. Ich konnte nicht schlafen. Und was sehe ich? David Wood macht wieder Scherze über Deutsche und sagt, sie würden immer spalten. Vielleicht sollte die Wood paar Berliner essen. Du bist nicht du, wenn du hungrig bist. Do they have that saying there? That's like a commercial here, right? You're not yourself when you're hungry or something like that. Do they have that in Germany too?
Pretty sure it's just from the commercial.
Okay, so he's just translating the commercial here?
Yeah.
Okay, that's someone complaining about me. Oh, can't sleep, and then checks it out and finds that I'm making fun of Germans.
And you were saying that Germans cause division. That's what
they do. That's what they do. That's what they do. Indeed, there is no Palestinian ethnos, only a Palestinist ideology, genocidal pan-Arabic Islamic imperialism and terrorism versus Israel. I actually like that point. He's making multiple points in here that you know what? I'm gonna post some clips. I'm gonna post some clips on Twitter. Spread those around, guys, because he's making some of the shorter points he's making are actually very, very good to spread around here. Let's see, children again. Sarah says, it would be funny if Mosab was a regular viewer of David and AP, and that was the reason he started to say children again. He's like, oh. Yeah, he heard us saying it. He's like, oh, people keep saying children. They told me to say children, but David and AP, they say children.
Yeah, well, he's aware of our stuff. I sent him a message again saying, hey, come on, man. Come on here. We got to talk. See what he says.
No, he can't go on. He's got an image to take care of. If I had to choose between 1.6 billion live streams and one GOAT live stream, I'd choose the GOAT. Wise choice. AP, go to your polling place and take possession of your empty ballot so some other person doesn't use it.
Don't worry.
Someone's going to use it. Northern Europe doesn't want to acknowledge that Islam is the terrorist driving force and the male-only immigrant takeover? How do we get politicians to listen?
You don't.
Yeah, Ambassador Keys, it will eventually happen when the people are so massively fed up about it. But by that time, it will be an impending bloodbath. But human beings have had to go through really rough times before. David, can you see biblical similarity with the arrival of the Israelites and the Palais essentially acting as the Canaanites with their child sacrifice cult? Yeah, I believe that is sort of built into humans psychologically. When you have a god or a cause or something like that, you demonstrate your devotion to your God or your cause or whatever it is by the value of your sacrifice. And what's the most precious thing you can hand to your cause or your God or whatever? Your child. That is your supreme act of devotion. And so that's what you see. So anyway, the idea is, yeah, the pagans had that idea. It's human beings in general who show their devotion by handing over their children. And you even saw it. You even saw it in the UK. These gangs of Pakistani men are drugging, pimping, raping, gang raping little girls. Well, we have to look the other way because we're showing how tolerant we are. You're doing what? You're sacrificing your daughters. Same idea. And you see it there in Palestine. You see it everywhere. You want to show how devoted you are. Just hand over your kids to be molested or killed or whatever it may be. It is the heart. It is the heart of pagan thought. D. Wood, AP, look into the concept of Erev Rav in Judaism. What's that, AP? You're the expert on Judaism here.
What?
Erev Rav. Look into the concept.
I don't know. I do not know. Erev Rav, a group included Egyptians and others who had joined the tribes of Israel in the Exodus. I don't know. Gotta check it out.
All right, we will check that out.
Hey, there's news from earlier today, from a few hours ago, that a Jewish guy on his way to the synagogue was shot in a suburb of Chicago.
What?
And the gunman is 23 years old and screamed Allahu Akbar. And it's not just an allegation. There's actually from somebody's door security. Ring footage, whatever it is, you can watch the shooting, and you can also hear the guy yell Allahu Akbar.
Wow, Jewish Chicago neighbors fear hate crime preceded shootout with police. Jewish Chicago and 39 reportedly shot on his way to the synagogue on Shabbat. Gunman critically wounded in shootout with police following West Ridge attack. Jewish Chicago neighbors fear hate crime.
Intifada means. This is what globalized the Intifada means here.
Mm-hmm. Just randomly going and attacking Jews. Mm-hmm. But if you have just keep in mind, because it's like with the guys who go out and seek martyrdom. You have a bunch of YouTubers like Muhammad Hijab encouraging them to do that, but then some people actually do that. And the guys who are encouraging it and calling for it, they get off scot-free when other people who are listening to them and who respect them and who want to do what they're told go out and do what they're being told, seeking martyrdom and so on. But it's the same thing with globalize the Intifada. You got college students screaming this on campuses and so on. But then someone actually goes out and does it. And then the guy's in trouble if he survives and so on. But I mean, this guy didn't get the idea out of nowhere. You got people around the world cheering him on, saying, do it. He goes out and does it. And then, shocker. But then all the people who are calling on him to do it and encouraging him to do it, they're all fine. They're all fine to continue calling for globalizing the Intifada. Me before October 7th. We can be pen pals with Islam. Me after October 7th. How about no? I don't buy your Allah. That's true. Hey, David and AP, has Islam changed over the past 10 years? And where do you see Islam going in the next 10 to 20 years? Thanks, and God bless you both.
I hope it dies soon.
The biggest change in Islam over the past 10 years was the shift in dawah. The shift in dawah from focusing on reaching non-Muslims with the message of Islam to trying to impress people who are already Muslims. And so dawah changed from, look how reasonable Islam is and blah, 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 to, we stronger than you are strong with from chestness make us right. And that's a huge change. As far as where is Islam going the next 10 to 20 years? Well, if things keep going in the same general direction. We've talked many times, ladies and gentlemen, about how Islam was hell-bent on taking over the world. Then they lost their caliphate after World War I, when the Ottoman Empire collapsed. This convinced a lot of Muslims that they needed to rethink their plans of subjugating the entire world. They started thinking, okay, we lost. And they started adapting to Western ideas and so on. But then you had the backlash against that, which was, the reason we're not taking over the world is because Allah is punishing us for not being devout enough and enforcing Islamic law, Sharia, and so on. So then you had the Iranian Revolution in Iran, where the Shias got far more aggressive. You had the Muslim Brotherhood taking over many parts of the Muslim world. But the idea there was we have to crack down and be more devout and so on. And then Allah will bless us to take over the world. So those projects have been going on for several decades now. They're failing, right? It's failing in Iran. All the attempts from groups like ISIS and so on to impress Allah by their devotion to Sharia and so on, they just don't work. They don't work out. And so Muslims are going to have to be grappling with that. Wait a minute. Now we thought that if we just crack down and crush all rebellion and sin and apostasy and hypocrisy and so on, then Allah is going to bless us to take over the world. Well, you keep trying it. It doesn't work. You just end up getting crushed anyway. So Allah's not helping you even there. So that looks like it's going to be melting down. The only hope, the only shred of hope that can keep Muslims confident that Allah is working behind the scenes at them taking over the world is their ongoing plot of taking over Western nations. So they're still thinking, maybe this is how Allah is going to do it. Maybe this is how Allah is going to bless us. We're going to keep multiplying in Western cities and so on until we take over, and then we get our caliphate back. So they have that hope going. If Western nations just stopped this nonsense and gave them no hope of actually taking over, I think you would have Islam just collapsing psychologically. Because, guys, at the end of the day, it's an ideology based on global conquest. You are here to take over the world. If it ever becomes clear to you that you're not taking over the world, wait a minute, that was the entire basis of our ideology, that God wants us to take over the world. If you are failing at that miserably and you can't do it, that calls into question your entire ideology, which is why when Muhammad Hijab put together his poll on what it is that causes Muslims to doubt Islam, one of the highest answers was the weakness of the ummah. It's not supposed to be that way. You're supposed to be strong, and you're weak. And so in the near future, I hope to see their hopes of global conquest dashed to pieces. Sadly, it's Western nations who keep the hope alive. Look, we'll just keep bringing you in here. Maybe that's how Allah is going to get you to help you take over the world. But I think Islam, since dawah is failing and dawah is a joke now and all their arguments are collapsing and they're not even trying anymore, I think Islam is going to basically become a big gang. It already has components of a gang, but I think it's going to get to a situation where that's all it is. It's something you join for your protection in areas where you have tons of Muslims, and so you just join it for your protection. That's my prediction on Islam in the next 10 to 20 years. Now back to Mosab.
And so many people are believing. so many believers. This is what we are dealing with. So they inverted the narrative. And we don't need to look way back in the past. We can just look into our lifetime. Since October 7, savages, they broke the fence, they went into peaceful communities, they wiped out more than 20 peaceful communities based on their religion and based on their ethnicity, based on their race. And that's the very definition of a genocide. Genocide is not defined by head counts. To say, let's say, if we kill more than 5,000 people, this becomes a genocide. No, genocide is defined by why the people have been killed. And the only people who were killed based on their religion and ethnicity are the Jewish people on October 7. The victims in Gaza, they are not being killed because of their religious or ethnic background. It's a collateral damage because of the lack of responsibility of their government. For all those who claim to say what's happening in Gaza is a genocide based on the head count, they are contradicting the dictionary and the reality. Israel has been doing everything within their ability to minimize the civilian casualty by giving people 2 weeks in advance, revealing the military plans. Evacuate this area while the terrorists evacuate with the civilians, dressed up like women, like civilians. It's very obvious for any person with intelligence to see that the terrorists have been trying to maximize the civilian casualty. Then they did not stop there. They exaggerated and they lied about the statistics. Then humanitarian organizations, the United Nations, the European Parliament, everybody considered the Hamas narrative and the Hamas lie as a source. They haven't been on the ground. They did not count the numbers. They don't have the birth certificates or the death certificates. But somehow they reached the point of saying 40,000 casualties. But even if that was true, why are they surprised? In the most populated area, when terrorists hijacked schools, hospitals, mosques, churches, every sacred zone, they did not leave the civilians even with one safe zone to go. And since the beginning of the war, I said evacuate the civilians. Pressure Egypt to open the border so the most vulnerable civilians can evacuate and we go in and eradicate this cancer, because we cannot afford another Gaza war. This is not the first Gaza war. It's the fifth. And every time the terrorists sacrificed civilians, we rewarded them with what? With money and power and legitimacy.
Catch that? Very important, and I'm guessing that's where he's going to go with that. Every time these guys do stuff to get lots of children killed, what do? We reward them. We reward them. Oh, you guys did this thing that started a war that got a bunch of kids killed. Let's send you billions and billions of dollars of stuff. Piles and piles of cash, piles and piles of supplies. And now, what do you have the European Union wanting to do? Hey, let's give them a state. For what? Well, because all the people who died, you keep rewarding them for doing things that lead to endless piles of dead bodies. The more dead bodies, it's the same thing that Western nations did with Islam after 9/11, where after you had the 9/11 attack, every news channel and so on had to show how tolerant they were by getting Muslim speakers on their shows to explain how real Islam is all about peace and tolerance and so on. And they did this after every single terrorist attack for years. So there's a new terrorist attack. Let's get on CARE to explain Islam to everyone. And then you have this wave of conversions after every terrorist attack. It's like you're rewarding them by globalizing the dawah for them. Oh, a bunch of Muslims just slaughtered a bunch of unbelievers in the name of Allah. Hey, let's get some da'is on our channels to promote Islam and tell everyone how wonderful Islam is. You keep rewarding them for killing, getting killed, death, destruction, terror. Hey, the more violent you guys become, the more we will help you spread Islam. And the more we will reward you. What are we, stupid?
Yes.
So every war, they came back stronger.
Every war, they came back stronger.
And this last war, they doubled down. They tripled down on this evil practice. And now they are expecting from the West, from the free world, to come on its knees and beg them, please don't hurt more children, and we will give you whatever you want. You want a Palestinian state? We will give you a Palestinian state. Even that means at the expense of already established democracy. That is not only a democracy for the Jewish people, but also for Muslims, Arabs, Druze.
What's up?
There's one very, very good thing that I appreciate about Western people and the Christian way of thinking and looking at the world, which is the whole having compassion and, sympathy and empathy and feeling bad for the others and all that. In this case, it is entirely misplaced if you have it.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it's entirely and fully and completely misplaced if you have an ounce of sympathy, of compassion, of, oh, poor guys, poor this and that. It's entirely 100% wrong. It's 100% an abuse of your own emotions for the betterment of the terrorist agenda and the terrorist cause. They do nothing except take advantage of any kindness, any ounce, any little bit of kindness that you have in your heart for the people over there. Of course, yes, every conflict brings people who suffer. Every war, everything brings suffering, and of course, yes, it's always sad. It's always bad. It's always you always want to feel bad for those people who are dying. But any ounce of sympathy or compassion, whatever it is, or pity, actually, it's just pity in this case. Any ounce of pity that you give is just used to exploit and increase the suffering of the very same people that you feel pity for. They would never feel the same pity for you. They would never feel the same mercy, the same compassion for you. It's a suicidal trend, and it needs to stop.
Yeah, guys. So, being compassionate, and so on, that is a good quality. But you have people who will take advantage of your good qualities, who will use your good qualities against you and against other people. When that happens, you need to understand what's going on and not be stupid about it. So just as an example, something like unemployment or welfare or something like that, a system in place for when people are on hard times, that's good. It's good if you get into some trouble and something like that, and people can, the people or your government can help you out. But you'll also have people who take advantage of that, who take advantage of the system. People who don't need it, but who will use it and so on. Okay, when you find out that someone is taking advantage of something that is meant for good and using it, using your good intentions against you, you need to be wise and not a complete moron. And so what do you have here? You have Mosab actually breaking it down. You guys think you're helping. You think you're helping by sending in, by looking, oh, look at all this destruction. Let's send in billions and billions of dollars. You're keeping the cycle going because there are people who've made a business out of it. They have monetized your compassion. They use your compassion to get billions of dollars for themselves. Terrorists have monetized your compassion. Wild stuff.
Jews, Christians, all type of people. So we have now governments that have been pressuring Israel, blaming Israel, delegitimizing Israel, not realizing that Hamas game and the Palestinian game has been to delegitimize Israel, to discredit Israel, to criminalize and demonize Israel, while in reality this is not the truth. So the more we believe them, the more we will get divided. Because I don't think any power on earth will be able to push Israel to the point where Israel will have to compromise its security and the future of the Jewish people. We all know that this is a red line. So how can we pressure Israel to do the impossible? To give up security, territory, and just give it to irresponsible lunatics, psychopaths, and tell them, here you go. Take power, take money, and whenever you wish, you can just invade us, take hostages, kill our people. There is no leader in Israel that can afford doing this. If I was the leader of Israel, I would not agree to it, even if it means total and absolute sanction from the globe. And not to mention that
That seems to be Netanyahu's attitude as well.
Israel is a superpower. Is a superpower. So why push a superpower, a democratic system, all the way to the corner in favor of no people, in favor of political gangs that does not have even a legitimate leadership? Their main crisis, that they cannot agree on one leadership. I wish that it was only a snake with one head, that we can actually try to reason with it. But it has 99 heads. So we are going nowhere with this. But of course, many of us say, then what is the solution? And I'm not here to draw a very dark image, but we need to understand the reality of the situation. And this is why I talk you on multiple dimensions, and this is not the end of the story. This is just barely the tip of the iceberg of this 1400 years of Jewish hatred. And I think as long as Allah is a legitimate authority, and as long as Allah wants the Jews killed, then there are going to be a bunch of people out there going after the Jewish people. Mm-hmm. And if we, as Christians, Buddhists, Hindus, atheists, the rest of the world, if we don't get united, realizing that we have a religious majority that has been determined to annihilate a religious minority, if we don't understand that this is the actual situation, then they will take advantage of all of us.
They will take advantage of all of us. Gosh.
You will notice something that Mosab did here. Lots of people, when they talk about this, when they talk about the problem with Islam, they will try to make a compromise and try to be inclusive and say, and this is why all of us, Christians and Jews and Hindus and Buddhists and atheists and even Muslims, he doesn't really emphasize that. He doesn't really focus on it. He doesn't really. He's aware of one thing, which is that Islam is the problem. You can't just bend it and shape it differently and lie to yourself about it. That's just what it is. Islam is the problem. Islam is the problem. Islam has a problem. We need to acknowledge that. You can't change Islam, really. You have to acknowledge that Islam is the problem, then throw it in the trash. That's what you need to do.
Mosab, man, sitting right there in the European Parliament, breaking it down about how Islam is coming for everyone, and therefore everyone else should be united against it. Right there. European Parliament.
If we allow them to kill the Jewish people today, tomorrow they will have another problem.
Yes.
Maybe the next time it's not Palestine. It could be Andalusia.
Yes.
Because also Andalusia is a Muslim land according to Islamic law. And
Yeah.
Yep. In fact, that would be the instant attention shift if Muslims were somehow ever able to take Israel. Attention would instantly shift. Apart from reforming the caliphate, attention would shift towards Spain. Because Allah revealed, drive them out from whence they drove you out. So if you were in a place and they drove you out, it was originally talking about Mecca, but the idea is if Muslims were driven out of a place that was ever controlled by Muslim, they are obligated. They are obligated from Allah to keep fighting until they get it back.
Now, some might say they will never take Spain, but the Spanish beg to differ. They're pretty big sellouts and pretty big idiots right now. They are the first ones to be like, oh, the suffering in Gaza. Well, we need to. Well, how about we should take a bunch of Palestinian refugees, have them come over here and be with us, have them love us, have them here be with us.
Their hearts will melt. And they'll love us and embrace us.
Once they will see how lovely we are, they will become just as lovely, and they will love us all together. We will make love to each other all day long.
That's what happens.
I don't know what these people imagine. This is the European naivety that they have. There's something very stupid about Western people, and I know that the majority of our viewership here is Western, and I have to say just that there is just something incredibly stupid about Western people, about Western society, that people have this delusion, this mass delusion in the West that those people around the world, they're just like us. You just have to tweak them a little bit. Just have to show them a few things. Just give them a little bit of comfort. Just get rid of their problems. If you just alleviated their problems a little bit, they would be just like you and me. They would be just like you and me. If they didn't see a bomb for 2 days, they would want to go with you and me to an amusement park and have fun together. Because everyone just wants to have fun. That's all they want to do. And they just can't have fun because we bomb them. And if we stop bombing them, then then we can all just have fun together. No, that's not how it is. That's not how it is. That is not how it is. You can think that everyone just wants to have fun, and you can open your doors and you can invite those guys to have fun. Those guys will come into your home and rape your family and kick you out of that house and say, okay, this house now belongs to me. That's what they will do, because they don't have the same values that you have, which make you view everything so wonderful and so beautifully and so nicely. It does not work that way. That is a very deluded Western perspective that has caused much of the destruction, much of the corruption that has been going on in the West, in Europe, and so on. It is idiotic, it is self-destructive, it is suicidal, it is imbecilic, it is absolutely stupid. Hamas, the very terrorist organization that we are talking about, the Islamist organization, is the one that has repeatedly and explicitly said that their goal is not just the liberation of Palestine and the Palestinian nation. Their goal is to take the entire land because it is a religious obligation. And once they have taken the entire land, it would be to re-establish a caliphate, finally build the caliphate. And once you have built the caliphate, you would have to. They would. The next goal would be to get all the Islamic lands back that were lost, which would not just be limited to North Africa and Spain. It would also include everything west of Turkey, for example, Greece. Greece is next. Greece and the Balkans and everything bordering Austria and so on. And it would be once again an attempt to conquer the world. Of course, I don't think that we will actually get to such a place. It's pretty far fetched that would be that would happen in reality. I think that Islam is actually dying, and this is kind of a last ditch effort to revive it as a political global system. But that is the actual effort. Let it die. Acknowledge it, the poison, and suffocate it. Don't feed it. Don't help it. Don't help it grow. Don't water the very thing that will grow and then hang you and kill you. Don't be stupid. Don't be an idiot.
You heard it here, folks. Don't be stupid. Don't be an idiot. Now you know. Knowing is half the battle. Are the Gazans and Arabs jealous of Israel? Yeah, they're jealous of their power. They're jealous of their prosperity, jealous of all kinds of things. And it does affect the Ummah psychologically. It does affect the Ummah psychologically. Wait a minute. Look what mainly Jews did with that little plot of land. And what do? We build terror tunnels. That's what we do.
Yeah.
That's what we do. We build terror tunnels. They build a thriving society. And then what do they do about it? They throw tantrums and whine about it and blame everyone else for why they won't actually build up their own areas.
That's what they do.
Pretty dumb. Have you seen Bill Burr's bit about Bring Back Our Girls? It's great. I think I did watch that years ago.
Burr.
Bill Burr's funny. AP is right. Let us all just write in Muhammad. You want to do that? That would be funny. Everyone just go in and write in Muhammad for president.
Yeah, that's what you should do.
You guys reckon Khomeini will meet Nasrallah soon? I don't know. Look like they dialed things back, but Khomeini's not going to last forever. He got all kinds of problems. All kinds of problems. Jews still in Chicago learned nothing from the 1930s. I probably wouldn't live in Chicago right now if I were Jewish or if I were non-Jewish. Either way, I wouldn't want to live in Chicago. AP David videos in general. David counts pen 1, pen 2, pen 3, all the way up to pen 15. AP, like little girl. Pen 15. Heh, 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 hee, hee, snort. Do you have any idea what this is talking about, AP?
Do you even get the joke?
No.
If you look at pen 15, if you write it out in big letters,
I
looks
get it. I get it.
It looks like PP. So that's why.
Yeah. Okay. He's
I
correct
made
there.
it done.
Ein Berliner mit Berliner. Funny that D Wood again reads German in this voice. Also, while I'm complaining. Yes, a commercial slogan. Yours is AP or D Wood. Both lift up the mood. That's what we do.
You see.
Mosh
Yeah, totally.
Cohen says, David, you should always refer to the Muslim Brotherhood and Abu al-Banna for uniting Taqiyya, Kitman, and Dawah as an all-Islamic doctrine, the 5 Ds. The 5 Ds of Dawah.
These nuts.
Knows too much as Arabs isn't actually an ethnicity. Originally, before Arabic and Islam existed, Arab was a general term for the desert, Araba, dweller, not an ethnos.
Yeah, but ethnicity is a very fluid thing. It's not a real thing anyway. It is how you identify different people that over periods of time live together in a certain environment, and then as a result of that develop a certain culture, and then have that culture in common with a long heritage, language, different practices that are special to them, and so on. So in that way, Arab has become an ethnic group rather.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, you can't kind of say, well, it originally, I mean, everything was originally something, but we still have terms for people groups now. It's like Turks were originally what were they? Wolves or something? Some
Yeah.
guy banged a wolf. So they were originally these weird wolf hybrids or something like that. But now we refer to them as a people group.
But the people,
But
yeah,
the people.
there were some nomadic steppe guys up there somewhere,
Banging wolves.
way up there with their. They looked like Mongols, and then they almost died, and then a wolf came and then said, "Hey, bang me," and then that one surviving Turk banged the wolf, and then that's how they turned into what we are today. That's the mythology.
Momo stole from the Syriac, Talmudic, Apocrypha sources and changed the narrative wrongly. Arafat changed the narrative with the Palestine Phantom. Yeah, Muhammad is the pattern of conduct in Islam, and what Muhammad showed is just rewrite all of history to make it all whatever narrative you want to share with the world. And so that's the takeaway. Just rewrite history, make it whatever you want it to be. And shocker, Arafat imitates Muhammad. D.
That's
Wood, as a philosopher, what do you think about philosophers contesting the moral argument by trying to attribute moral values to evolution? Well, you can say, we have a kind of herd instinct and so on from evolution. Our ancestors who had some sort of, who were wired some way to take care of others would actually be better fit to survive. They'd have a survival advantage and so on. And so you can attribute our moral inclinations to that. But you're sort of limited then. If you're saying that's all morality is, and that's where our morals come from, and that's their status, it becomes kind of difficult to take things as moral absolutes versus just, this is the way we're wired. Because if you say, hey, this is the way we're wired, therefore it's fine. I mean, a lion that moves into a new pride of lions will eat all the young to make room for his own. And so on. Do you say that's good? Do you say that's good because that's the way it's wired? There are animals that reproduce by violent rape and so on. You say, that's how they do it by nature. Therefore, it's good. It's weird to say this is how you're wired because something helped your ancestors more successfully impregnate women. Therefore, it's automatically good. So anyway. You end up with the is-ought fallacy at some point if you're trying to derive actual moral obligations from how you're wired. You end up committing a fallacy. And so the point is, if you want to say this is my view on where morality comes from, fine, but then don't go around acting like. And I'm saying this because people like Dawkins do this all the time. The world has all the features of as if there is at bottom no good, no bad, no right, no wrong, nothing but blind, pitiless indifference or whatever, however he put it. But then he'll go around preaching to the entire world about what they need to do and how their views are bad and so on. It's like you can't have it both ways. You can't have it, but you can't throw out morality when it's convenient for you and then be a moral absolutist when it's convenient for you.
But you do acknowledge that somebody could just argue that regardless of what you think is right or wrong, morality may simply be something that is learned and developed, that is carried with, evolutionary development, which then humans interpret as good or bad because that is what they learn over time. So you don't have a problem with the idea that with this assertion, right? There is nothing logically wrong about this or nothing weird about this. Your problem would just be that if you adopt this worldview, then you shouldn't make any judgments on what is wrong and what is right.
Yeah, if you're gonna, so the idea is take something that we regard as a moral obligation or something like that. Do not do this. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you, or something like that. What is that? What is the ultimate status of that? Does it have some like divine authority behind it or something? Is it a command from God? If it is, then it's a certain kind of thing. If it's something that's kind of wired into us from some sort of herd instinct or something like that, that changes its status. It changes, it's got a different kind of force behind it and so on. So no, there's nothing incoherent about saying, hey, that's what my moral view is. there's an incoherence if you somehow become a moral absolutist when you're talking about other things, right? And that's what I generally see. Richard Dawkins, he'll say this is what morality is, but then in his condemnations and so on, he comes across as a moral absolute. They're just things that are bad, and there are things that are good, and there's things that are right, and there are things that are wrong, and so on. It's like it doesn't make any sense given what you just said about where morality comes from. So,
what if somebody says morality it comes from evolutionary development? It is not intrinsic. It doesn't come from a higher power, and so on. Acknowledging that is the case, there is no objective, universal good or bad, right and wrong. However, I think that considering that all humans have the existence and the human experience in common, and certain things make life easier and other things make life worse, it would be in our best interest to do this instead of that. That is my worldview. So based on that, we should do A and not B. If somebody argued that, do you think there is a problem with this?
Yeah, you can kind of do anything you want with that.
I know you can, but you can also still maintain that it is still better to do A, although you don't have to do it. There is nobody, in the universe punishing you for it, but still A would be better for it.
Given whatever you establish as your goal, keep in mind you can put together any kind of goal you want from that, and then whatever kind of goal you establish, you can get to that in all kinds of different ways. In other words, you can say, hey, as far as if you make human flourishing the goal and so on, and you link that towards, hey, we should emphasize that the smartest and healthiest people are the ones that reproduce and others aren't. Very easy to justify eugenics, very easy to justify just wiping out people who are physically, I mean, it's exactly what your German buddies did, right? Anyone who seemed flawed or something like that, they emptied out the hospitals and so on, the mental hospitals and so on. And hey, let's just cleanse the population of this sort of thing. So the point is, if you're just going to say, here's some goal and here are better ways, there are better and worse ways of reaching that goal, I believe you could justify pretty much anything using that methodology.
But here's the problem. I don't think you can argue that is necessarily wrong, or you cannot refute it as you cannot depict it as nonsensical and then refute it. You can say that it is
that's completely coherent from that view. Guys, if you're making what happened according to your evolutionary history, if that's where you're deriving your moral values and so on, it becomes pretty straightforward to say, hey, historically, weaker organisms, dumber organisms and so on, they tend to get weeded out because the smarter and better fit organisms are able to survive and reproduce more effectively. And so what society and civilization has done has taken away the evolutionary pressure. And so now we're de-evolving. What do we have to do? We have to make a concerted effort to do what evolution would have done, do what natural selection would have done, and wipe out the weaker and dumber organisms ourselves. And no, there's nothing incoherent about that. There's nothing incoherent about that. So you have it here, everyone. AP believes that we should all wipe out the weaker and dumber organisms, just leaving a pure master race, if you will. That's where it leads. Interesting diversion there. Mosh Cohen there says, continuing your point on compassion, in the Midrash it is said, he who tolerates the cruel, intolerant, will pour his cruelty towards the tolerant. Wait a second. He who tolerates the cruel, intolerant, will pour his cruelty towards the tolerant.
Alhamdulillah.
That's true.
That is wisdom.
Some people weren't raised to be hard targets, D. Wood. Can you give some fatherly style advice?
Stop being stupid.
Stop being a soft target. Make yourself a hard target.
How dare you?
I would encourage everyone to learn the basics of manipulation, not to use them, but to be aware of them. So just find a good article. There's some good books that are actually written by psychologists and so on manipulation tactics and so on, meant to be aware of how people are going to take advantage of you. Basically, if you are a soft target, manipulators are looking for people who can be manipulated. If you know the basic manipulation tactics, the manipulation doesn't work, and that will force them to come up with other ways of doing things. But the core idea in the head of a manipulator is, why am I going to do something when I can make other people do it for me? Why would I go out and try to get what I want by myself when I can actually dupe other people into doing what I want for me, and so on? And so they have tactics that convince other people to do what they want. And if it doesn't work, well, then manipulating others is no longer the easiest way to get what I want. So, let's see. And when will y'all start a Discord server? Me, probably never. I don't like learning new stuff.
Me, probably tomorrow, unless I decide that I will just not do it tomorrow.
You heard it here. Now back to Mosab.
Muslims are required to fight until they liberate this Islamic territory. Mm-hmm. Every mosque around the world is an Islamic land. And I dare you to try to shut down one mosque in Europe, especially if they mix or don't separate religion and state, or mosque and state. This is the challenge. And this is where they contradict a fundamental of the Western or most Western constitutions, that no one is above the civil constitution. But Allah and the mosque are two authorities above. And Muslims don't separate between mosque and state. Now, they are in violation of the laws. Now, you as a lawmakers, go and try to say this mosque violated the law, we want to close the mosque. They suddenly become angry. They have a cause.
That's what
they could turn violent. And they could all get unified behind their angry cause, the same way we see them angry on the streets for Palestine, non-existential. Even to the degree when there is some idiot on the street burning a Quran, they go against the entire nation, against the government, against the diplomats worldwide, boycotting and sanctioning and protesting. And
yeah, there's always that insane hypocrisy of, hey, some guy did this in your country, therefore we will target everyone from your country and every business from your country and every diplomat from your country around the entire world. But these are the same exact people who would say, oh, just because all these guys launch terrorist attacks in the name of Allah, never associate that with anyone else in our religion, let alone associate it with our religion. Each person is a completely isolated individual and must never be associated with anyone else. And again, there will be the exact same people who say, hey, someone from this country did it, therefore we are at war with this country forever. Hypocrites. No concept of consistency at all in that religion.
Try to tell them this was just an individual. It's his responsibility. It's not the responsibility of the entire people of the country. But they insist on violence by the means of sword and by the means of intimidation. This is the Islamic approach. I know that I'm taking lots of time. I'm trying to conclude. Thank you for your patience.
Nice.
So the situation in Andalusia could be next, and we are living the modern-day Islamic invasion. Many here, leftists, or they claim to be liberals, Democrats, they want equal rights. And we simply tell them, what about equal responsibility? decent citizens, show responsibility, hence they have equal rights. But criminals, terrorists, invaders, illegals, they haven't shown any responsibility. So why they are entitled for equal rights?
Because
what do we do to the criminals who violate the laws? Don't we imprison them and strip them from all their rights? Suddenly we give them just the minimum human rights in a cell. Why? Because they are criminals.
And then what's the result? D. Wood can't even vote. Huh. Shocker.
And stripping us.
Why don't we give them equal rights as well?
It's a good idea. Good point. Give us equal rights.
Citizens who show equal responsibility, they are entitled for equal rights. Otherwise, it's a different story.
Everyone in this entire country has a gun except me. Why? Because I'm not allowed to have one. My rights, even my Second Amendment rights, have been taken away from me.
Now, keep in mind, Andalusia and Palestine, they're very similar concepts. If Hamas and Palestinians succeed in pressuring the world to manifest their Palestine, which I don't think is a possibility, then there is going to be another concept, a different name, another angry cause to justify their violence. And I don't want
the caliphate
to see this.
Alhamdulillah.
I say it's their freedom to be Muslims, but keep Islam in Mecca. Keep the mosque in Mecca. Here in the West, I don't want to see the West turning into an Islamic continent. I love diversity. When I come to Europe, I want to feel that it's Europe. And if those who really admire Mecca and worship in the stone, then why don't they just migrate to Mecca? Stay there. Where no women rights.
What's that?
He sounds like he's their boss, and he's like, when I come back, I don't want to see this change, turned into an Islamic country.
Yeah. This is what I like. You people in Europe, you like to listen to Arabs. Well, let me tell you, I'm an Arab. Therefore, you have to make it like I want it. I like diversity.
Yes.
Don't become Islamic.
I like Europe the way it is. Next time I come back, I don't want to see it different.
Yes, or you will turn me into terrorist.
Their society does not give women any rights. They are property. And when you cancel half of the society, what is a society without women? You kill all the creativity. Then there is sexual repression, and the sexual repression will automatically lead to violence, to terrorism. And this is the psychological connection. Then they are attracted to come to the West. Why? Because they see freedom. Women are free. Hence, the society is free and more healthy. So they come attracted to the freedoms. But then suddenly, they want to turn it into Mecca, where non-Muslims are not allowed to enter the city. I don't want to say, where is their tolerance? Where are the temples? Where are the synagogues?
What's that?
Could have taken a completely different turn. He talked about how the sexual repression causes violence and terrorism, and then he said, and then they are attracted. I thought he was going to say, and then they're attracted to goats.
Goats, yeah. And then they're attracted to goats, and we wonder why. Okay, if you don't want to save the Jews, save the goats. Do you care about the goats? Think about the goats. If you don't care about the children, care about the goats.
There are the churches that are in Mecca, but this is too much. Let's say we don't want to give them big responsibility or a big task to manifest. At least we say, why don't you allow the non-Muslims enter the city of Mecca? The signs are so huge on the entrance of Mecca, say Muslims and non-Muslims, 2 free ways. This is their approach. This is their tolerance. Got it. So tomorrow they could do the same thing here in Europe.
Did he just say,
and
just
everywhere
said got
in the
it,
world.
but
So
he
we
sounded
must enter the city of Mecca.
He said got it, but he said with just he went totally American. So
No,
I
it
will
sounds
go. Got it. He goes, got it.
Okay.
Got it. Got it.
Okay.
I'm starting to wonder,
Wrapping
man.
it up.
Huh? Look at this.
He's like, and I will tell you once more. What? Oh yeah, I got it. I'm almost done. Yes.
You got it. No problem. No problem.
Hey!
No problem. Be done in a couple seconds. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this.
The signs are so huge on the entrance of Mecca, say Muslims and non-Muslims, 2 free ways. This is their approach. This is their tolerance. Got it.
See that?
So
Got it. No problem, man. No problem,
tomorrow
Bob.
they could do the same thing here in Europe and everywhere in the world. So we need to be aware. We need to be aware of the fundamentals of this problem in order for us to provide good solutions. If they want to worship in the mosque, this is okay, but they must separate mosque and state. If they want to worship, they have the freedom for worship, but we don't want to see gatherings, political gatherings by the name of Islam, praying in the thousands, making political statement. They are in violation, immediately in violation. If they want to worship, close your door. It's your devotion. It's your relationship between you and your God, between you and your Allah. I don't have a problem with that. But don't intimidate the people with your prayer. And I conclude that there could be a solution similar to the Vatican. You know, the Vatican does not have borders, and it's a very powerful state. Does not have big army. They don't need big guns. And that model could be manifested in the Palestinian territories, or let's say the West Bank. That instead of the European Union investing its money in gangs, in corrupt politicians who have been against the interest of the children, against the people, and against the future of this generation and the next generations, we should invest our money in education. It must be conditional.
Conditional.
We can invest in economy, and we can improve the life of this generation, that we invest directly in the people. And we don't want, in the near future, any Palestinian state. The children don't care for a political entity. They don't care what they need. They need a peaceful environment. They need a responsible leadership that does not abuse them or indoctrinate them. And as long as we continue to fail the children in favor of these criminals, the Middle East conflict will continue forever. And I think all the attempts to try to pressure Israel to give up its security and its freedoms for such political gangs, this is not going to help the situation either. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for giving me this podium. I appreciate you, and I hope that we together can create the change. Thank you.
Let us invest in the children.
Let us invest in the children, but not the way Muhammad invested in the children.
I believe the children are our future.
Not the way Daniel Hakikachu wants to invest in the children. Not the way Ali Dawa says we should invest in the children.
I believe the children are our future.
Let them lead the way. Some religious people in Israel believe that Deuteronomy 32:21 is the reason why we are at war. Thought you might like this verse. So Deuteronomy 32 contains some warnings about what will happen if the children of Israel go against God, and he says he will punish them with other nations. And so you would have some people saying, "Aha, that's why we are having this fight right now." Tezbot says, thank God for Mosab. AP correct about, although I have to say, they're kind of winning this war pretty hard, so doesn't seem to fit terribly well. Thank God for Mosab. AP correct about Western mentality. Once you understand Islam, so hard to make people listen.
Yeah.
Yep. Because the people... AP should vote and write in Mosab for president. I am. That's what someone should do. Everyone write Mosab for president.
I will write Mossad for president.
The West has become naive due to atheism because atheism refuses to see that people are not all good and are influenced by many things, especially their religion. Exactly correct. Not just atheism, agnosticism as well. These are the basically the destroyers of Western civilization. What's interesting, it was a tiny little section of Jordan Peterson's discussion with Richard Dawkins, but Jordan Peterson was kind of alluding to this when he said, you know, guys, if you look at how human beings are just by nature, we do some really, really messed up stuff and we can be really, really brutal. He says the fact that somehow civilization advanced to the point where you've got all these atheists who think that, no, this is how we are by nature. We're just these scientifically minded, blah, blah, blah. That's how we are by nature. And the idea that this became so normal that you take it for granted and you think these things are just self-evident. He's talking about how amazing that is. But that is sort of an ongoing problem that certain ideas and values became so dominant in Western nations that Westerners took them for granted and thought that that's just how people are. And so they think, hey, everyone around the world is the same and everyone in history is basically the same. And so, hey, just bring in as many as you can and we'll all just rally around our shared values that we all have just in virtue of being human beings. And it's going to be a while before that finally breaks.
I would say that I would say that it's a little bit of an attempt to shift the blame. I would say that while it's very, very evident and very obvious that the secular aspect, the agnostic and atheist approach is what really deludes people and makes them view things in a very naive and dumb way. I would say that, sorry to say, but I think that especially the Western Christian perspective and aspect and ethos has contributed very, 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 very greatly to this, to an irrationally pacifistic and weak and naive attitude of being very soft toward those who want to kill you.
And who shamed us into being overly tolerant? Bunch of atheists. For 14 centuries, Christians in the West said, we are not going to be controlled by Islam. And a bunch of atheists came along and said, look at you Christians. Shame on you with your intolerance. Shame for shame for shame for shame for shame. Look at all the horrible things you did with the Crusades. Look at all of that. Shame on you. This is what religion does. And we go, oh, okay, well, fine. We'll just roll over and play dead no matter what happens. And then a couple of years later, atheists, Christians, why won't you protect us? Why won't you protect us from Islam? Too late, Budros.
Exactly.
In your face. Atheism.
In your face.
Atheism is poison.
Atheism is cancer.
Talk about Western, stupidity? We got a Hamas supporter as head of a trusted flagger to control social media in Germany. AP can find this on NIUS. Hey, check it out. They got a Hamas supporter as head of trusted flagger to control social media in Germany. You can find that on
NIUS.
What is that? Some TV station or something like that?
I think that's a newly formed news outlet in Germany. Yeah, I'll check that out.
Mm-hmm. I think we can agree that AP's rant on how stupid Western people are with inclusivity sounds like a goat screaming endorsement for Trump 2024.
Beast.
Does sound like that. Does sound like it. AP saying, nope, nope, don't vote. No one vote. Whatever you do, don't vote. Don't care about the future of your country. Don't pick who you think would be the best at securing the future of your family. Just stay out of it. And at the same time, he's basically cheering for Trump. No one can figure out AP.
That's what I would do.
We once had an Iranian guy join our mission team in Lebanon. He started telling us how much he hated Jews. Turns out he just didn't like orange juice. Oh, he's going, I hate the Jews. I hate the Jews. And they think, wow, what a dirtbag. But it turns
Jews
out
disgusting.
Hey, AP, your camera went out again.
What?
Your camera, which you still don't know if it's your camera or your dumb computer that you refuse to take up a collection for.
I got a new cable and I thought the problem was fixed. Apparently it's not fixed.
Okay, so the problem's not the cable. You've been troubleshooting. And it's very simple. Just say, here's the computer I want. I cannot afford it. Here it is. And everyone who watches you and doesn't like looking at a black screen will chip in and get you something that doesn't suck.
Before I say this is the computer I want, I can't afford it. I would rather drown in an ocean of dread or something like that. I don't know.
Well, that's dumb. Because people would like to see you with functioning equipment for for literally the one thing you do that has any benefit in this world, doing live streams. And you can't even do that.
I'll be right back.
All right. Finally, welcome to the no AP zone. Jews, tiny land, make paradise. Arabs make desert. They do. They took a little tiny plot of land and made it into a thriving country. Would you guys have a conversation with Mohammed Mosab, ex-terror, pro-Jewish temple building Muslim? Don't know who that is, but you can contact him and tell him to get in contact with us if you want us to have a conversation with him. Tazbot says, off topic, D. Wood, do you have an opinion on afterlife, whether we go to heaven or are resurrected to live on a new earth? Just curious. Yeah, I would believe in both those. So you would have some out-of-body existence after death, but you would eventually be resurrected. By the way, you guys convinced me to support Israel. Nice. That's what we do. That's what we do. D. Wood and AP, do you think that the Middle East will one day return to Christ? Love from an Egyptian American. I'm not sure. There are so many variables. There are so many variables in what the future holds, but we'll have to see. Hi, Brother D. Wood, and hi, Brother in Humanity, AP. I'm going to do a course on the problem of evil. Before I start, is it possible to read your dissertation, D. Wood? Yeah, send me an email. You can get it through the Fordham Library. They have everyone's dissertations there, so I think you can get it through the Fordham Library. But yeah, send me an email. I can send it to you. A course on the problem of evil. I also have to wonder, I mean, mine's on a particular version, the Bayesian version, that isn't, like if you're talking about a regular apologetics course, the Bayesian argument from evil is like pretty technical, philosophical version of it. But yeah, you can check it out if you want. Only due to Islamic takeover, people became Arabic speakers and thus became Arabs. So Arabic speaker is a much more accurate term, and it's not. But there are people who are Arabs, right? We know what we're talking about if I say the guy is an Arab, right? Why is everyone at war with the idea of saying so-and-so is an Arab? Even if Hamas is gone, new group will rise. The command in Quran 860 is binding. Hilali Khan translation exposes the issue. Yeah, you're going to have ongoing problems no matter what. That is correct. Alien X said, did you reference Richard Dawkins earlier when you said that's what That's what Dawkins always says, David. It's been years since I read a book by him. Yeah, I did reference Richard Dawkins earlier. And got a video coming out on him tomorrow. I actually recorded it like last Tuesday. I just didn't have a chance because I was traveling and so on. Didn't have a chance to edit the video. But yeah, so I recorded the video right after the interview with Jordan Peterson and Dawkins came out. Recorded it. Still haven't finished editing it, but I'm almost done. So that should be up in the morning. Everyone can check it out.
That's what they do.
That's what we do. Let's see. Joshua Wooden says, AP, is that an authentic ram's horn? That would be based. However, your instrument skills are still so far away. Practice makes perfect even for you.
Hey, look, it has a thing that I try to tear off a little bit, but it is authentic. It came from Israel. It is certified by the rabbis. So it is. It definitely is. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Powerful, powerful. Eliyahu says, AP, was Fethullah Gulen worse than Erdogan in terms of Islamization of Turkey? And does he still have any supporters over there?
What do you mean was?
Hmm?
What do you mean was?
Was?
He's dead?
You don't even know anything?
Wait a minute, the guy's dead? He died 7 days ago? What the? That's funny.
Why do you think that's funny?
Well, Fethullah Gulen is he was the mentor and teacher of Erdogan. Was a Sufi leader of a major group that was known as Hizmet, which translates to service, and was known for basically being the leading, very moderate and very, very weird organization in Turkey that was kind of, organizing people to become more Muslim. But at some point they were suspected of interference in the government and trying to take over the government and so on. And apparently, together with Erdogan, Fethullah Gulen's organization, they were actually trying to take over the government and turn it into an Islamic system. But they fell out at some point, this religious group and Erdogan, and started fighting each other. And then the whole organization, the whole group got banned, and they were also accused of being behind the attempted military coup several years ago, and so on. But anyway, so the guy was living here in Pennsylvania all his life, and apparently he just died like 7 days ago.
And so that's why AP is in a state of mourning, ladies and gentlemen. One of his Turkish heroes has passed.
They still have supporters over there, just not that many, not as much. It has become kind of a sign of something to be ashamed of, to be a supporter of his in Turkey right now.
Yeah, losers. Knows Too Much said, ironically, let's see. Knows Too Much says, ironically, Palestine is derived from Pleshet Philistia, which was derived from the root word for invader in the indigenous language of the land, Hebrew, by the way, as the Philistines were foreign invaders. They were sea peoples. Is AP trying to look like a wild to honor his Turkish heritage?
Yes.
Is that what you're trying to do?
Yes.
Israel fires back at Iran. Caroline Glick video on JNS. Surprising info even to Caroline, how Israel hit nukes factory despite Biden and Kamala. Oh, is that what they hit? Did they hit a nuclear factory?
Pretty sure that Israel said that they only attacked military targets and missile production and all that. Unless something changed about it and I missed it.
AP didn't receive his check from Mossad. Yeah. Want to know where our checks are at. David, what's the answer to the inquisitions? What inquisitions?
The ones happening right now.
Yeah, do you mean stuff that's happening right now, or you mean stuff that happened centuries ago?
You mean what happened in the 15th century?
Article, Free Palestine. Arabs used to chant that Palestine did not exist and was Zionist propaganda, ready to unalive to prevent Palestine. Arabs used to chant that Palestine did not exist. The article is Free Palestine, ? Arabs used to chant that Palestine did not exist and was Zionist propaganda.
Palestine.
Let's see. Mosh Cohen here says, people have no clue how hard it is to use a shofar.
Yep. It is.
It's apparently difficult.
I had it in my mind. It was very easy, and then once I got it, I'm like, "What the heck?"
Yeah, I'm probably. Yeah, what's funny because you're saying you thought it was going to be easy. Like in my mind, I'm like, I need to just go ahead and get one and show him how easy it is to play, and so he can stop embarrassing himself, and I'll just get it and just rock that thing. But I know I'd probably get one and be like.
Yeah.
Link to GoFundMe AP. Look, people are dying to chip into a GoFundMe so you can get better equipment. Give the people what they want, AP. They want you to have good equipment.
Inshallah, one day.
Meant Wolf.
Oh.
Saint Trump says, AP Habibi, come back. Those Muslims meant nothing to me. Nothing. I just needed a few votes to humiliate Kamala.
That's what they do.
It's what I do. It's all part of the plan, AP. It's all part of the plan. Don't divide up. Don't divide over this.
That's what they do.
All right, everyone. We're going to go ahead and shut things down now. I will probably sometime later this week see if I can get my brother online. Maybe we'll share some accumulated life wisdom. That'd be pretty dope and pretty based. Should have a video out in the morning. Anything, AP, before we close out?
I would say that people should just be smart.
That would solve a lot of problems, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's very easy.
Yeah, when we say smart, we kind of mean like wise, because there are tons of people who are intellectually smart and like the dumbest, most self-destructive morons on the planet. Like destroying civilizations, and they're smart. So be smart, but in the sense of wise. Be wise. Don't be morons, everyone. And now we'll close out with the ceremonial blowing of the shofar.
No, we're not. I wasn't going to do that. I was just trying it on.
Go ahead. You've got to close out with that.
No. Okay. All right.
Do that. Go. Like Gondor.
Okay.
Or Rohan.
There you go.
It's pretty good. That was powerful. That was the best one. All right, everyone. We'll catch you later. New video up in the morning. Check it out. It'll be totally based.
Inshallah.
Catch you next time.